So we're around 90 minutes before the real Formula 1 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix starts. And we're here for that short qualifying plus 50% race around USA, Circuit of the Americas in Texas. As we have full grid today, surprisingly, kind of, in European Racing Organization's round 7 of season 9. And yeah, this is what I got to say in short as an introduction. Drake Dempsey is one of the 2 drivers from top 3 to race today. However, Tony Richter isn't. So his gap, Drake's gap in the championship lead will only increase as long as he finishes the race in the top 10. Anyway, speaking of which, we're officially going with the action within seconds as we are starting the Ero Pc F1 Grand Prix right now. And I welcome you to watch this action. My name is, of course, Wojciech Śmigowski. I'm the owner and the commentator of Ero Pc F1 TIA, the home of League Racing. Don't let it be spoken otherwise, as we are back with the action right before the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. We'll see plenty of stuff happening on this track, as there's full grid today. However, Ryan Grob will have to join during the qualifying session, unfortunately, due to various issues. Actually, he's back in. He's on time. So great news, as we are having all of the 20 drivers from the very beginning. We've also got a couple of debuts in the Ero Pc F1 with all of this season, of course. We've also got a couple more reserve drivers and stuff. However, full is full. 20 is 20. If it wasn't for Jeddah today, we would be probably doing a full qualifying session, as here's the good news, actually very interesting news regarding Ero Pc F1 races, that there's a chance in 3 races, one of them is going to be full qualifying. The only condition for it is to have a full grid for the race. And the 3 chances I've mentioned are Belgium, France, and the season finale in Jeddah on the 4th of June. However, today we are definitely having a short qualifying, as the session has just started, so we're going on track right now. As you can see, there is full 20 drivers, the grid is full, everyone has 2 drivers, every team has 2 drivers, and we're ready for some action today. Speaking of reserve drivers, as you may say, we'll actually go from the first place, as Daniel Gochak is, of course, the full-time AlphaTauri driver. Drake Dempsey is the Alfa Romeo full-time driver. George Parr is a reserve driver racing for Ferrari. Then we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more full-time drivers. And then we have Lucas Magenti racing in Alpine all over again in Ero Pc F1. He's actually been scoring some decent points results on during this season in Pc F1 and both Pc F2 as well. So we can't wait for him to show some more skill around Circuit of the Americas. Next up, we've got, of all tiers, of all races, of all divisions, Alfie Harvey, the man who was in Pc F1 last season at Williams, scored a couple of points, but it was like 5 or 6, and Detroit was calling himself Go Tiffy because of mainly finishing on the last places. Well, has qualified to Pc F3 last for this season, but due to being relatively unable to race on Fridays, he moved to Europe Xbox Origin tier, which, well, anyone of any skill could join. However, the Xbox Origin tier and PCF2 tier have been merged due to, well, each race having like 13 drivers on it, so we would rather have 1 full race than 2 half races. Simple as that. So Harvey joined PCF2. And now he's racing in PCF1, and this is his first race this season. So Alfie has seen everything, but races for the first time here in this year. Thomas Grart is the full-time Aston Martin driver. However, the next Alpine driver is another reserve of Eric Dziemianczuk from PCF2 tier. Unlucky season start, although he's got 2nd place in the Xbox Origin Bahrain Grand Prix. Then the tiers got merged. And in PCF2, he's currently yet to score a point, although it was kind of close in US yesterday. Kul Pawlakovic is, of course, the Williams full-time driver fighting for the guaranteed seat for Season 10. And Joe Fegali is back to Ero Pc F1. He's been racing in PCF2 and the Red Bull. Now he's joining AlphaTauri for this one race here in Austin. Ferry Wagner is the Drake Dempsey's proper teammate for the season. Luke Mills is on the Red Bull for the full-time. Ryan Gropp fights at least Tony Richard for the second in the championship. And Harry Wales is the reserve driver who we could see last week, getting from last all the way to 5th during the race. Looking for drivers who are on the laps right now, it definitely is Drake Dempsey. There definitely is Lucas Magenti, who's ahead of him. So, and Eric Jemianchuk, but he's just started the lap. You can also see Jack Harrington going through the S's, which basically seen one of the most controversial things, to be honest, when it comes to track surroundings in Formula 1 game, as you could see the red painting next to the track surface, which basically covers nearly the entire track surroundings, at least these couple of meters through the straight, from the straight. But on the old generations, which is PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, this red painting is non-existent. This is what I have personally discovered this Friday, actually even yesterday, watching Elliot Parker's replay from PSF4 race, and honest to say, I've been a little bit triggered with that, but nothing major. However, please have some consistency, Codemasters, as Drake Dempsey nearly matches my time trial time from this circuit. I personally got a 32.113, and Drake's already on 32.3, but what I did was on August. So naturally we understand the limits of the car more now. As Jack Harrington goes through the 33.8, we could see him having a half spin. However, all the drivers who are on the laps, for example, Luke Mills, is just finishing, but I believe he's on a cautious lap just to make it count. He's ahead of Jack Harrington, 33.7. We'll see 32s and 33s throughout this session. As you can see, Wagner goes 33.5. But Drake is over a second ahead of his teammate. That's a huge gap. Otherwise, completes the lap. Pawlakovic. You can see, for example, Kul Pawlakovic's strategy. Yes, it is his strategy being shown right now. Going for a lap with no Yaris at all, and I believe he's going to do like 5 hot laps just to set the delta, or maybe not even make the lap at all. Depends on what he decides. As Circuit of the Americas has been in Season 7, for example, Season 5, Season 4 and Season 3 throughout the Ero history, and it has seen a couple of interesting actions. For example, the most notable one definitely being Season 3 on PSF1 TIA, where basically the leaders of Maxtro, Plazenbull, or Allenvor, and more of them, drivers from the front of the championship, have all stayed out on the slick tires when it basically has gone into tires. The track has gone completely wet during the last 5 laps, but these 6 drivers, I believe it was, all stayed out. And later it came out it was a very, very bad decision, as Stan van Norlus, for example, who's pitted back then for the Inter tires, and Luke Scholtes as well, have all pitted for the Inters, and it allowed Stan to win for the first time since Season 2 Japanese Grand Prix, and that was a span of around 25 races, if I'm calculating it correctly, like very, very quickly. Kul Pawlakovic goes for yet another lap, and we'll see if he improves anything with no Yaris challenge. No, he does not. It's a 6/10 loss. Also, Season 5, seeing Gul overtaking 5 cars on the last lap of this race, starting from around here. That was some bit of an action in F1 2020. Or Season 7, where we could see Drake Dempsey basically dominating the entire grid by like 30 seconds in his first Ero Pc F1 race, as he was racing on PlayStation beforehand in Season 6. The gap of Drake, between Drake and Tim is still like 0.7 of a second. 3/4 of a second. Daniel Gottschalk and validated George Pa is going through the S's. Arjan Bilbas in the Sector 3, so we'll follow the Ferrari driver, who's recovered some of his form recently, with currently being 6th in the championship. I'm just going to get the data of how many points he's scored right now. as that was 46. It's just 1 point off. Jonathan Foss is unfortunately not racing today, as Aaron Bilbas sets the second lap time, gets a 32.8, the second driver to get it to 32s. It's a very interesting qualifying so far. Like, there's huge gaps. Also, hello to everyone in the chat. I hope you'll stay through the entire race, as there's plenty of action going to happen. We could see that in Kota in the recent years, and we can't wait for more just before the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. This is going to be one of the most interesting warm-ups for the drama that this track, the Jeddah, can bring us. I will not tell you the... Actually, I'll tell you the results of the qualifying, as you might know, Max Verstappen is having an engine penalty. And he does not have an engine penalty. Leclerc does, sorry for that mess up from mine. However, Max Verstappen did get an engine issue. That was a gearbox, to be exact. I know gearbox and engine are two different things, but basically, the point is the car did not work. And this is why Max Verstappen will start from position number 15. Sergio Perez got pole ahead of Charles Leclerc and Fernando Alonso, but Charles Leclerc is dropping 10 places down because he's the one who's got a grid penalty. 10 places, that is. Very interesting qualifying, as the Aston Martin drivers are really on fire recently, on some great form this year, and looks like Aston Martin is going to be competitive in 2023 as Aaron Bilbas goes to the pit lane. Ferry Wagner doesn't use any ERS. Luke Mills, I believe he's now on a hot lap, and behind him there's a McLaren on the out lap. Looking for more drivers who are about to cross the line. That is Thomas Grard, who is setting a 33.0, which places him on the 4th, which is very, very close to Team Bayer. Second row currently for the Aston Martin. As well, we can see that the gaps are big, the gaps are enormous, but these are also the first runs in this qualifying session as drivers are coming out for the second round. So for the second laps of their qualifyings. As Grart is currently going through the DRS straight, but I don't see him using any ERS. So basically he's going to the pit lane. Also, I can mention the positive surprise of Alfie Harvey. I know all drivers from below can also do better, but Alfie can also can do better as well. So good to mention. Alfie Harvey is back on the grid and is already doing quite decent, with 11th place on the grid as of now. Just ahead of Harway. I believe all of these drivers will make it to 33s sooner than later. Definitely Quill can, because he's already done a 34.5 with his no ERS challenge, which is promising if he goes and uses the battery. Actually, he's used, I believe. You can see he's on no ERS. Jamie Anchuk meanwhile goes speed 15. 34.6, that is 10th of Quill. Nelson currently on the outlap will probably show some better lap times than that, as the only one who has set the lap time, but he's behind him, is George Parr. Both of Ataris and Maciej Lutiński failed to do a lap so far. That would count, but Maciej Lutiński is definitely on the Haas and on the track, setting one right now. As said, Joe Fegali goes 11th. With 34.1, there's an Alpine right behind. That is not Jimenchuk, that is McGinty. With 32.9, he's going third. What a result for the Alpine driver. We know he can do decent in the qualifying. I remember he was like 4th in Spain, as Jack Harrington crashes out in Sector 3. Not the greatest sign, but thankfully at least he's made it to the race. Looking for more drivers around the laps. Arjan Bilbas was meant not to race today, is racing today, so good to see him on the grid as well. Looking for Daniel Gottschalk, though. He's currently in Sector 2. Minute, 2 seconds and 6/10 of a second. This is his lap time so far in Sector 2. Using a lot of short shift, as this is the most OP thing in the Formula 1 game. As he's approaching 2 final corners. Very, very close from invalidating though, or at least jumping on that sausage curb. However, kept on the limit. Crosses the line now and puts a third lap time of the session. 32.9. Just ahead of Lucas Magenti. As Jack has said in the chat that we have to prepare for one of the best comebacks of our lives that we'll ever see. Well, we've seen a great recovery drive last week, and that was made by Luke Mills from pole to 8th to 3rd, as Joe Fegali crashes out on the weird place, which is pit lane entry of all places. As Aaron Bilbas is about to cross the line, and we'll see if he can improve his lap time. 32.8 is his bunker, and now he's doing a 32.4. And that still keeps him on the second, but definitely closer to Drake Dempsey than he was. Team Bayer also has gone third in the meantime. Grant Grop on the 6th place, but I believe he's on yet another lap. No, he's not. As you could see, massive error onto the turn 19. Now goes into the pit lane for probably the final qualifying run. I wish we would know how many minutes are left in this qualifying session. As at the time, Rand Group goes to the pit lane. We've got all the 20 drivers already setting up, and Maciej Lutiński meanwhile goes to the 10th place, which, if it was the race result, would give him 1 point at the championship, the first point this season. And I'm just saying he's a man who's got a guaranteed seat by Season 8 performances in PlayStation F1 tier in Season 8. Was close to a podium twice with 2 4th places, but the second Polish podium in Ero PlayStation F1 tier did not happen last season. Maybe it will happen this season. There is, for example, Robert Jemelity in PSF2 tier with kind of decent results. 4th place in the championship of that tier, which is basically dominated by Ville Piroinen, one of the fans' favorites on this, one of the community's favorites actually, as well, of the entire league. Basically, Ville leads PlayStation F2 by like 60 points, as he's on 115 as of Canadian Grand Prix. And then Keen Hodgson is second with 48, but by that, the standings I have not seen the standings after the US Grand Prix. As more and more drivers are into the pit lane, and I haven't even seen how many minutes are left. It's 2 minutes, so basically everyone has to hurry up now in order to set yet another lap time. Gaps, apart from Drake and Arion, from like 3rd to 11th, are kind of close, as Team Bayer, well, he needs to rejoin the session very quick. However, from 3rd to around 12th, we should say, it's really, really close. However, going backwards, going all the way to the last place of George Power currently, but I don't think he's going out of the pit lane. He is, one of the Ferraris at least. Maybe going for pole position. Arian Bilbas. We'll see about that. Anyways, we can see the gaps are just increasing and increasing, starting from Jack Harrington. As Luke Mills now approaches the final sector, the corner with like a million of alternate racing lines you could take and all would be correct. The corner which is loved by all the drivers who like to send the dive down the inside, we could see. That braking before the ensemble alike turn 8. As Luke Mills crosses the line now, Bilbas will not make any more laps in this session. Mills goes 8th fastest, 33.1. Marvin Moore is now on sector 3 definitely, and I believe Lutiński will be as well, as both of the Hasses are exactly in the same place. As more and more drivers are retiring from the session. As Drake is also out of it, and he's crashed out in turn 1 of all places. I don't know what happened there. We'll see it with Marvin. That is a crash of Drake Dempsey on the right side of the track. Really unfortunate, however, his pole position could be safe because Daniel Gottschalk is starting right now. McGinty is starting right now as well. He's currently approaching turn 1. And these are the two drivers who could actually do something about Drake's pole position lap time, as Ryan Grob has invalidated his run. Luke Mills as well. Ferry Wagner is losing 35 milliseconds compared to his best lap time. So he needs to find quite a massive amount of lap time, time throughout the two final sectors. And that slide on the exit doesn't help. But we'll see what's the delta after the next corner, as looking for drivers who are close to crossing the line. Definitely Luke Mills goes to the pit lane. Ferry Wagner improves by 8 milliseconds. Not enough to even compete with Drake's lap time as of now. But if he does the sector 3 well, he may get 8th place. But welcome back, Team Bayer, to the session, as Marvin Moore crosses the line now in order to set a lap time of 33.1, placing him ahead of Ferry Wagner, who's currently crossing the line as well. So we'll see if he can improve Marvin's lap time. No, he does not. He misses out by 9 milliseconds. As Lutinsky goes to the pit lane, Pawlakowicz is on the pit lane as well, looking for George Parr, McGinty and Gottschalk to finish the laps. McGinty goes to the pit lane, Gottschalk crosses the line, takes position number 3, and with George Parr, who is going to start on position number 17, this is the qualifying over, as Drake Dempsey secures a pole position. Not a consecutive one though, as we remember what happened in last week in Canada, with Luke Mills surprisingly taking pole position. Most of you will say that Drake Dempsey will win on the pole we've run. And with that qualifying result, I may agree with you. There is a massive chance that it will happen. In the meantime, as we're here watching the qualifying results, make sure to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button to help the channel, the YouTube channel and the league in general develop. Thank you. As Drake Dempsey, Arjen Bilbas, Daniel Gottschalk is your top 3. Quickly looking to the back of the grid, as you can see, there's quite a new names, at least for this season, as Team Bayer loads into the session. And we should be going green within seconds. For some of you, we're doing a little bit of a, not a play, but we're definitely having some insights. And I was about to speak about the tire strategies, updating live before the race, but we don't really need one, as it's going to rain, and it rains quite a lot for the second week running, as here in Austin, where North America brings us plenty of rain this season. Canadian Grand Prix last week, we've got plenty of rain, the changeable conditions. Now we've got US Grand Prix, and it's raining again. So that is a great sight. We'll see if drivers will keep composure, as they have to adapt to these conditions really, really quickly. But with no formation lap, it's going to be lights out. And away we go. Drake Dempsey gets a decent start, and I can see these are the wet tires, full wet conditions that is, so very, very surprising. You can see Mills losing traction. Marvin Moore looks for a place to get at least into 8th place. Drake Dempsey covers the outside line, however Daniel Gottschalk looks for a move on the inside, taps Arjen Bilbas a little bit. However, it should be Drake, then Arjen, then Daniel Gottschalk side by side into turn 2. There's another contact, however both of them keep running without any consequences. Jimenchuk is out within the first meters of the race, and that calls out a virtual safety car within literally seconds of starting. No, that is full already. You can see these full wet conditions definitely do not help, As I can see Ryan Grob dropping all the way to the last place. Let's see the position changes as Hugo Nilsson goes for the bold strategy of starting on the Inters. As Bert Bender comes out of track, there's definitely troubles for Ryan Grob, who's dropped all the way to the last place and unfortunately is not likely to start in Azerbaijan Grand Prix and a couple of races ahead due to equipment issues, unfortunately, which he's basically shown on Twitter quite recently. But, well, we know he can do a recovery drive, considering he's got a couple of races, plenty of podiums in his Ero career. However, this full safety car means that the grid will be stacked and in a singular queue, as you could see Thomas Grard not keeping composure and definitely spinning around. Marvin I believe he's done the same or no? Or there's just a chaos regarding position changes during the safety car period, which basically the F1 22 game doesn't like. And whenever they see whenever Codemasters detect a position change, they ask you to give it back, as Hugo Nilsson had to give the position back to Alfie Harvey, or was it the other way around? I believe it was Mercedes giving back to the Red Bull rear side. That is already some sort of interesting action, as we'll see. If anyone will listen to Hugo Nilsson, his genius, possibly, and go for the Inters, as Red Bull driver is the only one on the green tire compound. As he's swapping positions with... No, he's not swapping positions, he's going to the pit lane. Same applies for Figali, same applies for Robertson and Ryan Grob. Pitting, probably for the wet tires. We'll see the most important one. Hugo Nilsson will realizes that it wasn't the best decision to start on Inters. Goes on wets. And is now like everyone else. At least he's got one lap fresher tires. And it's like what? 1%? 2%? Not sure. As leading this, the safety car pack right now is Jake Dempsey, the Alfa Romeo driver. Leading the pack comfortably, although it's a safety car, but kept the lead after the start. Manages it pretty well. Invited Arian Bilbas to fight, but with not him, but Daniel Gottschalk. The Ferrari driver lost a place to Daniel as well. Well, starting with the second place, it was a great start to the weekend for the Ferrari driver. As we'll be racing for around 24 more laps. Checking the time, though, we should be safe. Maybe there will be no press conference before the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. But as of now, we are just waiting for the race to start, as Ryan Grob is the one who is about to join the pack. You can see Joe Fegali, this AlphaTauri dot on the minimap, getting closer to the field. As Ryan Grob isn't gaining at all, as you can see, 10.3 is the gap between him and the rest of the field. Now it's decreasing, so it's not. What are you doing, Ryan? Are you just going carefully or trying to make a safety car to go longer? It will go longer regardless of your efforts. He's just very, very cautious throughout all of these corners. You can see nearly sliding around here, Ryan Grob. Having to go on third gear on full throttle, so he's probably also trying to burn some fuel throughout the process. Nearly getting a warning for exceeding track limits in the process. Nearly spinning as well, but he's back into the queue, so we should be restarting this lap. And wondering who we should watch. There is a choice between Drake and Daniel and Arian Bilbas fighting for the lead of the race. And Ryan Grob making a recovery drive. You can remember there was quite a lot of recovery drives from different drivers from the back of the field right after the safety car restart. One to name is definitely Cameron Dowds, making it from 7th to 1st in Season 7 of PlayStation F1 Brazilian Grand Prix, which was quite huge to watch. Like, it was massive. Diogo Morais spinning around, Cameron Dowds taking the lead on the remaining laps, Aston Martin's crashing, although it's something to negotiate between them because one of the Aston Martins got banned afterwards. Is this what we say, right? You know what? It was just a rage quit from the server. Anyway, we still have to fill some of the storytelling during the safety car period. So, thinking of the wet weather conditions, definitely we can name one driver who's doing very well in these. And he's got pole position last week. The lap is available to watch on YouTube and on TikTok of ours. As you can watch it after the stream, but that was perfection made by Luke Mills to get the first pole position of his Ero career. I was checking that during the stream if it was the first one because I wasn't prepared for it. I know Luke Mills can go for decent results, but pole position? Nothing we would expect, to be honest. As it was his first pole position of his career in Ero. At least in Pc F1, he did not check Pc F2 where he did like 2 performances and got promoted straight afterwards. As the safety car is coming in. You can see Bernd Maylander. Thank you for your service. Thank you for leading the race for like 2 more laps. You've definitely led more laps than Drake Dempsey as of now. But Drake Dempsey wants to lead some of them. And you can see him burning fuel. So he wants to have his car as light as possible in order to make sure he's having this bit of a straight line speed. But we're about to restart the US Grand Prix. We're approaching lap 4. Under full wet conditions, although I wonder if it's going to be Inter sooner than later. So Hugonelson could have done a very bad strategy call, but for now, Drake Dempsey now can accelerate and is restarting the US Grand Prix as Maylander is officially into the pit lane. He should be safe at least on the second base because you can see how close Daniel Gottschalk is. Iron Bubas has been caught napping, so we'll watch if Daniel Gottschalk can challenge the Alfa Romeo Championship leader into turn 1. If there's no Tony Ritchie, you can help him to get at the smaller gap in the championship as Daniel Gottschalk goes around the outside of Drake, is being forced a little bit, but stayed on track. As that means Daniel Gottschalk stays in the second place. We've seen something similar in the Austrian Grand Prix into turn 4 between Ritchie and Dempsey. As with the regulation changes, well, he wasn't out of the track, Daniel Gottschalk, so it could have been legal with no penalty points or set time penalty being awarded, but Drake Dempsey has definitely history of having very, very close calls with the Alpha Tauris this season. But Daniel Gottschalk, very, very close to Drake. He can use some of his ERS now. Both of these drivers are sliding around, and I believe Drake Dempsey is now comfortably into the lead of the race. How about Ryan Grob? Because we mentioned him having a chance to do a recovery drive, and he's overtaken 2 people already. As Tim Bayer, his teammate, overtakes Lucas Magenti. But we'll see. Ryan Grob does not decide to make a move into the inside line. However, may have gone for the switchback on Fraser Robertson. It's not quite a switchback, but definitely works the better exit out of this heavy braking point. As Fraser Robertson very, very close between these two. I was afraid they are going to touch and one of them is going to land into the wall, but it does not. As Ryan Grob goes for a send on the Ferrari of George Parr and Hugo Nilsson as well. What a move from Ryan Grob already on the Ferrari. However, he's fighting Hugo Nilsson as well, as Lutinsky fights with the Williams of Pavlakovic, I believe. Yes, that is true. That is correct. Ryan Grob goes position number 14 already down the inside before the Istanbul corner and makes it stick for the position number 14. As his next target is definitely Harry Wales. We'll go to the front of the grid somewhat, as Jack Harrington made a move on Ferry Wagner on the Istanbul section, as we'll call it. Jack Dempsey with the fast stop of the Grand Prix ahead of Daniel Gottschalk and Arjan Bilbas. Luke Mills used the safety car restart to go into the 4th place, so very, very decent performance for him so far. As not only 3rd place in Canada, but how about the second consecutive podium this season, as he was just short of getting one in Season 8. Now he's got one in Canada already. How about yet another one here in the US? As Ryan Grob is very, very close to Harry Wales already. I believe he might be going for a move, but you can see himself sliding all over the place, barely keeping the car running through the S's. As Ferry Fine is the first driver to get a 3-second time penalty. Ryan Grob is also very close from getting a warning in here. Same applies for Harry Wales on the exit of the corner. As Ryan Grob will probably go for a move down the inside. I believe he sends it now. No, he does not. Actually, Harry Wales missed the braking point a little bit, or actually the turning point at least. Well, maybe just lets Ryan Grob by, knowing there's no competition. As the McLaren driver has now jumped all the way to position number 13. And will be chasing Maciej Lutwiński now. Any more close calls between the drivers? That is definitely Jack Harrington and Lucas McGinty fighting for position number 6 in the Hockenheim section, as he goes for a move around the outside of the Alpine driver, who was meant to race in Mercedes today, but last minute swaps between the drivers have made it that McGinty races in the Alpine today, as the Mercedes made a move. Jack Harrington is now on position number 6. More fights behind him, as Thomas Grard has to go out of the track to keep his car safe. Jake Dempsey goes for 49s. I believe this might be the inter tires sooner than later, as Luxmus was having definitely some issues as he was going to the left side of the track for some reason. However, Jake Dempsey basically dominates again with 3 seconds of advantage over Daniel Gottschalk, who is the only one to get close to Drake now with Arjen Bulbas. But you can see Drake slowly building the advantage. Definitely finding some of the pace late in the game cycle, as the Alfa Romeo driver, who was having mixed results in Season 8 in a couple of performances, still got enough points to get a guaranteed seat. But 4th place in Belgium after collision with George Snyder, or one more 4th place, I don't remember which track, or 2nd place in Saudi Arabia. Only 1 race win being added, and that was after the penalty being given to Cameron Dowds for the pit lane entry rule violation, which is crossing the line basically. George Parr fights Fraser Robertson, but we're watching Ryan Groff making a clear move on Maciej Lutynski. That was easy that was so easy, to keep it simple. Easier done than said. That was one of the rare cases, as Hugo Nilsson goes for a move on the inside of Harwells and completes it. For position number 14. Amazing that most of the fights are happening for last places in this race. There's just a pride to fight for, but it's definitely worth it. You can see Fraser Robertson losing now 2 places to George Parr and Joe Fegali, doing decent in this race despite the low position, as the AlphaTauri driver has to watch out for Fraser Robertson potentially going for a move on the outside of him. No, Lucas McGinty goes to the pit lane, so I believe this is a chance for him to go to the inter tires, as Fegali goes out of the track. Fraser Robertson barely leaves enough space, goes for position number 17. Now let's see Lucas McGinty, as he's going to start on the inter tires now. He's rolling the dice, definitely, with this intermediate tires, as Hugo Nilsson started on these but quickly switched back to the wets. As Aaron Bilbas got closer to Daniel Gottschalk now, George Parr lost the position to Fraser Robertson, so the Aston Martin driver quickly regained 2 places, as Jack Harrington fights will to will with Tim Bayer. The McLaren driver fighting with Ryan together for the Constructors' Championship, making a move on Jack Harrington, secure position number 5, but Jack Harrington is going to probably have a bit better exit, and using a bit of a ERS, but Tim Bayer also uses the ERS, so I don't think the move is happening unless we're speaking about a big sand on the inside, which Jack Harrington backs out from. As Daniel Gottschalk actually fights Arjen Bilbas as well. There's plenty of fights on the wet tires in these conditions. Arjen Bilbas fighting Daniel Gottschalk. That was very, very close. Daniel Gottschalk unfortunately losing 2nd place in the Canadian Grand Prix due to an incident with Ferry Wagner. Now hopes it doesn't happen to the senior Ferrari driver, as Arjen Bilbas and Daniel Gottschalk keep going side by side into turn 19. Arjen Bilbas makes a move for the 2nd place of the race. Daniel Gottschalk says, well, okay, I'll go to the Inters, as the conditions are definitely somewhat improving. Or maybe he's got a wing damage we don't know about, but where could he get one when there was no contact, basically? Tim Bayer goes to the pit lane as well. We'll see if Ryan Groff, his teammate, is having plans to do so on the next lap. As currently McLaren driver has got into the 9th place, which is decent so far. But you can see him being very cautious as Alfie Harvey retires, and I believe that was in the pit lane. Thank you for the participation, at least, Alfie. Great to see you back on the Ero grid. Thomas Grart basically uses no short shifting at all. You can see him going on the third gear even though he's got maximum rotations per minute. As Daniel Gottschalk on the tires will probably send it down the inside on Fraser Robertson, makes it pole position number 10. Great move on the inside. However, Fraser Robertson fights back. You can see him going back on Daniel Gottschalk, and he's now wheel to wheel with the AlphaTauri as well. As Fraser, although he's on the worst tires as of now, as these are more and more dainted conditions, was fighting at least Daniel, to say the least. And Daniel was sliding on the exit of the corner. So what Fraser Robertson does? Fraser Robertson goes for a move down the inside of Daniel Gottschalk. However, the German driver has the better inside line. Into the next section, makes it complete. Drake Dempsey into the pit lane. Same place for Ryan Bulbas, same place for Luke Mills. Fraser Robertson, although he's very, very close, I don't think he's going for a move now. Jack Hinton, Ferry Wagner, Thomas Grard, I believe Marvin Moore as well will go to the pit lane. How about Kul Pavlakovic? He stays out. And is about to take the lead of the Grand Prix, I believe. At least the second place. At least we'll see some defending from Drake Dempsey. As they are side by side. Drake is going to be on the old inters. Sorry, cold inters I meant. No, he's not going to do any defending ahead of Drake Dempsey. That would be content at least. But second place so far for Kul Pavlakovic, who decides to stay out. Same applies for Fraser Robertson, even though he's just lost the position to Luke Mills within an instant. His rank dropped to 13th after pit stop, but I believe he's definitely chasing down Marvin Moore within this lap or the next lap. As you could see him getting past Figali, getting past Parr, Robertson for once. Lutinsky or Wales, as there's yellow flags. And these are caused by Ferry Wagner being spun around on the Inter, so not the greatest moment in the career of PS F2 Season 5 champion. On top of that, I've just realized Ferry Wagner is the only champion of ERO. Of course, we speak about the driver's champion of any tier on this grid. Moran Group has already regained like 2 tenths to Marvin within the sector. As Kul Pavlakovic finally goes to the pit lane. I wonder what Fraser Robertson will do. Does he hope for another safety car to come out? He goes for the pit lane, so he does not. As these two drivers, the Aston Martin and the Williams driver, will definitely come back on track behind Ryan Gropp, which basically places Ryan into the points. Unless Kul Pavlakovic is going out of the pit lane, and it's going to be very, very close between these two drivers. Ryan Gropp goes for position number 10. He's on the inside of turn 2 and makes it stick for position number 10. Watching the timer though, 17 past 4 PM UK. Ryan Gropp meanwhile gets a 3-second time penalty. Not the greatest information. Jack Harrington chasing down Lucas McGinty. He was making a move on him a couple laps earlier. Now he's behind the Alpine, so needs to fight back. Daniel Gottschalk lost the place to Luke Mills of all reasons, and I can see why. Something has definitely happened to his internet connection. I hope this is the momentary issue, as he's losing more and more places. Or did he just get the ego dumper? I'm not sure, but he's losing a place to Harrington now. Now it's him definitely racing, you can see. But losing a couple of places due to internet connection issues, not the greatest information of all. Or are we just desynced a little bit? Not sure. As he defends the position from Jack Harrington, Jack Dempsey is already 10 seconds ahead of Arian Bulbas, and we're on lap 11. Can Jack Harrington send it down inside of Daniel Gottschalk? Goes for it, definitely, but makes a contact with him. So with this big of a launch, Jack Harrington is now giving the place back. Maybe even having minor wing damage, but very, very minor, like 2%. As Fraser Robertson is very, very close to Hugo Nilsson as well. We'll see about that within seconds. On the battle outside the points, as Ferry Wagner picks up another 3-second time penalty. I wonder if he has wing damage though. He does not. So he was lucky to escape the walls. Or hit them so lightly that it doesn't even matter. Continuing though, towards the midfield, Ryan Gropp chasing down Marvin, as I said, not as quick as I thought he would. But he's definitely making progress in order to get the Haas. And later on, the Aston Martin driver, Jake Dempsey, basically flies past it. 12 seconds of a gap, just give him the win. Who cares even at this point? Because the advantage between him and Arian is like 12 seconds. It's going to be like 13 seconds possibly within the next couple of laps. Right, Gropp, you could see how close he was to Marvin now. That wasn't descent. That was a legitimate braking, but Marvin Moore, you can see him going to the left side of the track. Now he's definitely fighting Ryan Gropp. It's a battle for position number 9, but Marvin at least has no time penalties, so Ryan Gropp also has to escape by 3 seconds. As the McLaren driver tries to force an error for the Marvin Moore. As Fraser Robertson picks up a penalty in the meantime. This is the 4th driver to get a penalty, but not the 4th penalty of this race. Ryan Gropp sliding there around, but I think he might be going for a move down the inside, something that Marvin is known for. Regardless if the attempts are successful or not. And as I said, Drake Dempsey is already 12 seconds out of Arian Bilbas, looking to get that championship. As Ryan Gropp, this time he definitely goes for a move down the inside. He does. No way he's not. Goes for it. Perfect apex. And is now on position number 9. Next target for him is Thomas Grart. As the Aston Martin driver is on a 3-second time penalty as well. Drake Dempsey already doing 47s. I wonder when we'll see the dry conditions though. If we will, there's a chance though. As behind Lucas McEntee there is a massive train. You can see McEntee got like 3 seconds of a gap between him and Tim Bayer. And then there's a train. Daniel Gottschalk, Jack Harrington, Thomas Grart, Ryan Gropp, Marvin Moore. Also we can count Quill Pawlakowicz on that one. We'll be following the McLaren driver though throughout it. As Ryan has started on a decent position for this race. That was position number 6. But with the lap 1, a bit of carnage we didn't see at the back of the field. He's dropped all the way to 19th. As Jimmy DNF'd on that process. And then started recovery drive after the safety car. Which places him now on position number 9. But I don't think it's the end. He has the potential of going like 5th. As Daniel Gottschalk is very, very close from Lucas McEntee. So this is the one, this is the place where we can see a move down the inside. As Daniel Gottschalk completes it even before the corner. Position number 5. Then we'll be seeing himself trying to chase Team Bayer. As there's also a fight on the back of the field that is between Wagner, Fegali and Harwales for position number 15. They are close to each other, but no moves so far. Everyone waits for a better opportunity. As Dan Gottschalk already pulled out by half a second from Lucas Magenti, I believe the gap is just about increasing. As Fegali goes for a move on Harwales into the inside of the corner. Har slides a little bit and has to give up the place. Ferry Wagner nearly spins around on the process as well, looking for a place to make a move on the Williams. However, Joe Fegali, congratulations for that move. It was relatively clean. As Ferry Wagner nearly spins round. Great save from the Romanian driver. As more fighting happens on position number 12, as Fraser Robertson is fighting Maciej Lutiński for position number 12. He knows though that he has to go out by 3 seconds once the move is done in order to secure position number 12. As Ryan Group does not look like recovering, although he's just regained 0.2 of a second. Joe Fegali with a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. And as I said, that Ryan Group is not really recovering on Thomas Grad. He's just regained 0.4 of a second, but you can see drivers are heavily struggling to keep out their cars in these conditions. As you can see how many slides Fraser Robertson has, how much he's sliding. It's not a battle only against the drivers, it's also against the weather conditions. As Fraser Robertson was looking for a move down the inside, but has not gone for one. As Jake Dempsey consistently laps by around 50 milliseconds faster per lap. Fraser Robertson, meanwhile, thinks a move on Maciej Lutiński. You can see him definitely forcing the gap to open. Maciej Lutiński now allows a little bit of a switchback from Fraser Robertson. No, he defends the position very well. There was not enough forcing to call it forcing off track. Very, very clean so far. However, Fraser Robertson can see him keeping it on the very, very low gears. Third gear through this turn 19. Not the greatest idea of all, but he makes it stick though. As now he's using some bit of the DRS, but you can see Maciej Lutiński is definitely gaining on the short shifting he's doing. As short shifting basically means that you shift gears quicker than recommended or standard thing, which basically is very OP in this game. As you can see, Maciej is definitely gaining on the exits, but has problems on the entries. As I forgot to say that one, but lap 14 has been completed in the meantime, and now we're on lap 15, and it has just started. Happy birthday, Ryan Grubb, as he turns 15 today. Great talent, and we'll definitely see him getting some of the achievements in the future in league racing. Or graphic designing, because he's also a very decent graphic designer. Nearly forgot about that one, if I'm completely honest, as Ferry Wagner spins round on the exit of the S section, or more of an entry to the DRS straight. Derek Dempsey decided that lapping faster by 50 milliseconds per lap isn't a great idea, and just goes for like 7/10. I can quickly do checks on the race director if there's no fighting around, and there is not. So basically you can do that if the game allows me to do so. Does not. Yup. As I said, consistently lapping a little bit faster, and now just doing 7/10. Lap 16 now. Meanwhile, Hugo Nilsson has been getting closer and closer to Maciej Lutiński on position number 13. As the Haas driver definitely struggling on these conditions, like everyone else. Nilsson, if he stayed out on these inter tires at the start of the race, I believe he could be going for some decent position right now. But he's not as... well, he pitted during the safety car. The track is drying though, as you can see there is less and less raindrops on the track, slowly but surely, but that definitely is a thing. As Ferry Wagner goes to the pit lane, I wonder if he will continue racing though, as his teammate is about to lap him. They basically nearly are on the same straight. And then there's Drake Dempsey, who has a gap of 17 seconds, 0.3 over Arjan Bilbas. So even if it dried up, he would stay up on the inters and win by quite a lot at this point. It's raining less and less here in USA, in the Austin. But still, we're far from the dry conditions. Daniel Gottschalk gets a 3-second time penalty. Tim Bayer has gone closer to Luke Mills, and I wonder what Hugo Nilsson is cooking, as he's going to the pit lane of all reasons. It's still raining, and he picks up mediums. I'm wondering now what is going to happen with his race pace, because he started on the inter tires when there were clearly wet conditions. That was expected. I don't think there will be the penalty for pit exit rule violation, as that definitely was not the smart decision. Just like watching Sebastian Vettel in the Turkish Grand Prix in 2021. Going for the slick tires. Not even too early. It's like on the conditions that weren't ready for the slicks at all. Although at least we know that the tires for the dry conditions are not working now. So if anyone wondered, well, Hugo Nilsson probably doing yet another sacrifice for Luke Mills, as he gambled to in Canada last week. He pitted for he changed the tires to inters during the end of the qualifying when the conditions were slowly getting into the inter ones, but not enough. Hugo Nilsson has gone out on the inters, realized that it isn't worth it just yet, told Luke Mills to stay on the wets, and the rest is history. Luke Mills got into the first pole position of his career. Now he's definitely checking if the dry tires are worth it, and they are not. And I'm wondering if Ferry Wagner is on them as well. No, he's on the inters. So, not the greatest decision by Nilsson, as Joe Fegali. The trigger has been pulled, definitely, as the Lebanese driver in the AlphaTauri goes to the pit lane, and don't tell me he's going on the inters, on the slicks as well. He does. Amazing stuff. Yet another driver. We'll see why it's not worth it just yet to go onto the slicks, as Joe Fegali goes out of the pit lane, nearly spins round, but that is like a 7 out of 10 pit exit, considering the conditions. Nearly spins out on the next corner though, as Hugo Nilsson loses the position to Ferry Wagner. Ferry Wagner on the amazing recovery drive from like 18th to 16th, because some of the drivers, or actually the Red Bull strategy chief, has decided that slicks could be a good idea, or just fully sacrifice Hugo Nilsson. Tim Bayer is out of the session though. His car is still racing, but that is what it's called, a disconnection from the session. Yet another for Tim Bayer in this race. As we've got like 10 laps to go, he needs to quickly pick up the car. I hope he joins through my own Steam profile, because this lobby allows friends to join, which is basically Steam friends option. In order not to force invites to be given. Basically, eases the life a little bit. As Thomas Grad, we could see obvious corner cut, getting 3 seconds of time penalty for multiple warnings. As Lucas McGinty now overtakes the ghost of Team Bayer very soon. Very soon. No, Bayern has joined, so he might as well join before McGinty overtakes him. No, he does not. More disaster for the McLaren fight for the Constructors' Championship. As currently it is 27 versus 10. They definitely need to find a method to stop Jake Dempsey from winning every race. The best one could be calling Tony Ritchie. Or Cameron Dowds. But it's not happening today. Maybe there's a chance it will happen next week, but unfortunately for us, Tony Ritchie is not racing next week as well. As we are around 25 minutes from racing. Is that Hugo Nilsson? Yeah, that is Hugo Nilsson. I definitely got a little bit scared if it was Arjan Bilbas spinning ground from very good 7th place. As Ferry Wagner gets yet another physical time penalty. But at least he's driving, unlike Fegali and Hugo Nilsson. Also nice track extension for the Alfa Romeo driver. As Hugo Nilsson basically lets everyone past. And he's basically got taught a lesson that you only pit for the slicks when it says DR is enabled. As Time Bayer nearly spins on the first corner of the SS turn 3. Loses a position to Jack Harrington, who's currently going for the best result of his career in the Ero. That is position number 6. Ryan Grob still chasing down Thomas Grard, but not enough to get the position of the Aston Martin driver. As he's using a lot of ERS now, hoping to make a move. As Team Bayer also fights Jack Harrington for position number 6 and retakes the place. So Jack Harrington now equals his best position in his career. The Drake Dempsey not lapped his teammate yet, but set yet another fastest lap. Lap by lap by lap, he's improving his lap times. Seventh place for Jack Harrington so far. As during the action, well, Amber was probably just slapped Joe Fegali, so in the meantime, when there is nothing really happening apart from Ryan Kropp, very close to Musgrad. With your sign up, Andre, as good to ask this question during the live stream as I'm here. What might help is either a different email address to use to log in, or basically refreshing the website, because, well, I've seen a couple of these situations beforehand. My DMs are open though, so you can basically send the internet connection picture to me on the Discord. Or maybe try to make it, to compress it, like, for example, make the screenshot a little bit smaller. Just to cover the most important data. As Fraser Robertson gets a 3-second time penalty. Ryan Grupp, we can see he's definitely closer to Thomas Grard. And he might be going for a move this lap, as Joe Fegali is letting past more drivers as he's being lapped. Team Bayer also closer to McGinty, should have got that 5th place sooner than later. As both McLaren drivers are chasing down their competitors. I'll check that after the race. I still get to commentate this one as Hugo Nilsson It's proving us once again it's not worth it to go onto the slicks. Goes for the softs. And got a 5-second time penalty for crossing the pit lane exit twice. We've seen one, but if Rabik Melko hears that, the PCF1 steward, I'm saying don't give Hugo a penalty, because it's not. It's so sad to watch. Hugo spinning around, nearly bringing it straight to the wall. So maybe we'll just move it to the. We'll just move to the front. For the drivers who are on the intertires doing the right strategy choice, as Team Fire is definitely 5th so far, considering the fact that Daniel Gottschalk has got a 3-second time penalty, but both of the McLaren drivers currently fail to make a move on their competitors. As Lucas Magenti and Thomas Grar keep their places very well indeed. 27 versus 10 or 14 is a bit of a difference. As Joe Fegali, yet another spin of him. Also coming back to the Andrei your thing, what also may work as different file formats. Like for example, there is like, I cannot pronounce it very well, but JPG, PNG or something like this. Maybe you're having like some, not the one that's working, but that's just my theory, and you can definitely check out that one. As we've seen Hugo Nilsson got like a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Red Bull knows they're sacrificing one of the drivers, probably. Probably, I'm saying. Just checking on if Luke Mills can make a move on Aaron Bilbas by going to the slicks on the appropriate moment. And I'm saying, actually, don't let Hugo cook, as he spun again on the final corner. And it's being now lapped by Maciej Lutiński. Joe Fegali is struggling as well. What are these two drivers cooking? I don't know. But definitely not a great strategy. As that is, I can't believe it. Seriously, am I thinking right? Where's Drake? Drake has already lapped Ferry Wagner. Also seeing the fast lap of the race as usual. Joe Fegali and Hugo Nilsson, who's about to be lapped by probably everyone. Joe Fegali he's retired on the track. He's retired on the track, and that calls out a late full safety car for the closing stages of the race. Joe Fegali could have just retired into the pit lane, but whatever, as Jack Hankton doesn't learn definitely from the other driver, from Joe Fegali for example, and goes for soft tires. We'll see if it's worth it. Thomas Grars does the same, as we're probably going to have 2 laps of racing here in the United States of America. Come on, this race was so calm, so relaxing, and you're just finishing it. As Thomas Grard, congratulations, you're being given a 5-second time penalty for crossing the pit lane next line. Jack Hankton at least keeps it on the track. At least don't crash into the safety car. He does not. Thomas Grard does not crash into the safety car as well. But these are definitely not the slick tires, although the sun starts to shine around Circuit of the Americas. As Hugo Nilsson 20 to 4 comparison. Wagner's on 23. Wales is on 24. Also going for the slicks. Even Jake Dempsey goes for the pit lane for the softs. Does it mean we're finally having conditions dry enough for the drivers to change the slick tires? We'll see about Drake. He goes on new inters. That's right. He's on new inter tires. As Grart crashes out during the safety car period. This race is definitely amazing. Quickly showing camera settings though as requested on the chat by Andre. I need to find them first. And they basically don't exist. And so I'm like really blind. I believe it's not available on the spectator mode. As tomorrow's crowd, unfortunate ending to the race, but you can see soft tires are not the call yet. Jack Harrington enters the pit lane to switch back into the inters. At least he survived on these. And goes back on track on probably even position number 9, you will say. Let's verify his pit exit though. Proper. Really good work from Jack Harrington. As I believe we'll be having one more lap on safety car conditions as Ryan Group used that Jack and Thomas have both pitted for stick tires and got promoted by 2 places. Tim Bayer got a 3-second time penalty in the process, so he will not be promoted by anything. If anything, he may even lose places. Lutinsky has issues with George Parr regarding position changes, and Lutinsky is yet another one to pick up the soft tires. We need to see the tires now, as basically Robertson, Pawlakovic, Lutinsky, and Harry Wales on the lead lap, this is the key, are on slicks. As the only one I believe who might have a chance of catching the queue. That was 3-second settings match. As Maciej Lutinsky is currently struggling for traction, and George Parr makes an overtake on him again, considering the better exit that he got. The Inter tires, the drivers on the Inter tires are definitely impatient behind the slick runners. These are definitely not the conditions for the softs, as I believe Harry Wales either spins or lets Ferry Wagner pass, considering the fact how much he's struggling. This is a chance for George Parr to get yet another point to the championship. If he picks up the queue, but he will have to stay behind the Haas. This is the last lap under the safety car conditions. As we can see, no more drivers have decided to go onto the slicks, and probably Gunnarsson also letting pass Ferry Wagner for yet another time. We definitely need to see how many laps he's lost to Drake. As what I can definitely mention is Szymon Żak, the PSF2 driver yesterday in the US Grand Prix, has got that very weird glitch you could know, and it's called basically you drive in the spectator mode once you rejoin the session. This is what sometimes happens in this game. We had to restart, for example, the PSF1 Season 7 Bahrain Grand Prix because of that. Because Aaron Lepenlu has got that issue back then. But Szymon Żak, like a gigachat, just decided to finish the entire race on this with this glitch, and has made it and got a point all of a sudden. as Drake Dempsey about to lead the second safety car restart, and this time it's definitely final one. The American driver, the championship leader, looking to extend his championship gap, make the entire season safe until the 4th of June, as the Alfa Romeo driver is about to get going for yet another time. This time, he'll restart way closer to the safety car than on the previous safety car restart. He's going now, lap 27, the second last lap of this US Grand Prix. Drake Dempsey all the way to win the US Grand Prix within the next 2 laps. You can see the gap between him and Arjen Bilbas already. Hugo Nilsson spins round at the back of the field. However, the man who may get a chance to get into second place is definitely Luke Mills. You can see him being relatively close by around half a second behind to Arjen Bilbas. Daniel Gottschalk will also look for moves as he's having that time penalty which he needs to take care of and escape by as much as possible. He gets another one in the process. McGuinty fights will to will with Team Bayer. I wish we could see more of this fighting as McGuinty loses a position to the McLaren driver, and I believe he may also lose a place to yet another McLaren driver. Ryan Grob looks for a space around the outside, down the inside into the hairpin, sends it down the inside and picks up position number 6. And that is a position lost by Lucas McGuinty. 2 places actually, considering that he's been also overtaken by Team Bayer after the safety car restart. And I believe the McLarens are going for positions 4 and 5 if they keep it well behind Daniel Gottschalk. They even may go for a move on the AlphaTauri driver, who's also trying to see the opportunities of overtaking Luke Mills and Arjen Bilbas too, as Drake Dempsey very comfortably leads the way in this US Grand Prix and his home race. He's already leading by nearly 2 seconds over Arjen Bilbas as Team Bayer nearly spins out. These are definitely the slick conditions. These are definitely the conditions for the dry tires. You can see how badly Team Bayer is struggling, and that was not going according to the plan of the McLarens. Team Bayer has been tapped by Ryan Grob and losing all of the places, rejoining the track right behind Marvin Moore and Fraser Robertson. Probably with a bit of an unsafe release. But the one we're watching right now, Fraser Robertson, he's the one who picked up the Q. And on the soft tires he is as well. So he might be gaining a couple of places in the process. We'll see about that in this final lap of the Grand Prix, as these conditions are definitely for the dries. He can go for it, he can push it, he can send it across the corner. Drake Dempsey gets a 3-second time penalty. And all of a sudden. And his gap over Arjen Bilbas, well, there's no gap. He's currently losing the race, but now he's winning because he's got 3.2 seconds, 3.4 seconds out of the S's, 3.5, 3.6, so his race win is definitely safe. But Fraser Robertson goes to move down the inside of Jack Harrington and picks up position number 7. Now he needs to make sure he's going to be 3 seconds ahead of Marvin Moore and Jack Harrington to secure his position number 7. I don't think that's going to happen. However, Jack Harrington is catching back on him. You can see him. The gap is decreasing. He might be going for the move down the inside onto the corner, the left-hander. McGuinty picks up the 3-second time penalty. Let's see the gap between Fraser Robertson and Lucas McGuinty. It has decreased by around 3/10 throughout this section. So I believe there might be a last corner overtake as Drake Dempsey is about to win for the 2nd time in a row. This time, he's going to win in the US Grand Prix. Although he's got the 3-second time penalty on the last lap, it doesn't matter. He's won it. And also picked up the fastest lap. I think Fraser Robertson may be going for one. We'll see if he's also going for a move on Lucas McGuinty. He does not pick the fastest lap near the 7th place, as he also drops by behind Fraser Robertson. Also Jack Harrington of all people. He's jumped all the way to 4th. Will Pawlakowicz, meanwhile, as usual, picks up the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Is there anyone else who can do so, as 38.6 is his lap time, and definitely not Maciej Lutiński. George Piles on the Inters, maybe Harry Wales. It's exceeding track limits though. Hugo Nilsson, well, he's the one with a chance. No, he's not. He's way too far behind. Harry Wales does not pick up the fastest lap of the race, as we're just awaiting the Red Bull driver Hugo Nilsson. For finishing the race. Also, Mitch, nothing happened between Arjen Bilbas and Luke Mills, so it was worth watching Fraser Robertson trying to chase down Lucas McGinty. As that concludes the US Grand Prix, I believe there will be no press conference unless of some very, very quick comments after this race. But just stay in, just tune in for 3 more minutes of this live stream. As Jack Harrington indeed said, this is the comeback that needs a press conference a little bit. Congratulations for the top 3 finishers, as again, the champagne is not going out of the bottle. We're not spraying the champagne this time, sorry guys. Saudi Arabia is within 5 minutes, as Drake Dempsey picks up the victory. It rains all over again, and it's like a heavy rain. And then we've got Iron Bulbas, Luke Mills, Jack Harrington, Ryan Gropp, Lucas McGinty, Daniel Gottschalk, Marvin Moore, Fraser Robertson, and Tim Bayer. My driver of the day, Jack Harrington. Fraser Robertson was good too. It would be also Ryan Gropp if it wasn't for the late contact with Tim. But all in all, this race was everything we needed. Action, there was. Overtakes, there were. Collisions, there were. And also, a bit of relaxing. Now we're having the real F1 action going on. Within seconds. As we're about to hear from two of our podium finishers.
That's like trying.
Yeah. Will they realize that they are on the conference chat again? They are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got like 4 minutes. So basically, gotta be quick with the comments regarding the race.
Me?
Yeah, we'll start with you, Drake.
Alright. It was pretty smooth. I mean, I got 2 warnings in like 1 lap, so it was, well, trying to avoid a penalty. But, yeah, until the safety car came out for... Yeah, yeah, it was smooth sailing and the pace was nice. I mean, it was fun driving out in there, but yeah, I mean, it's a shame that the safety car came out. Almost risked it away. I forgot that it swept my mind for a second that I had the 2 warnings and I accidentally got a little bit of a warning and penalty. But luckily I had enough pace to be able to gap before it actually caused me to lose the win. But it was a fun race, so yeah, the rain's fun. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep. Now going to the man who's finished second in this race, and I believe this is not the first podium this season, but I need some checking, and
It's third, I think.
yeah, third podium. Not the greatest beginning to the season, but picking up later on, as it's third podium in 4 recent races. So tell us how you feel about it.
Oh, yeah, I had a good race. A shame that it was rain for the entire time, though, so it kind of killed the racing part. But I had a nice battle with Gottschalk, I think he's called, the AlphaTauri. And then, yeah, Drake was just way too fast, so I just had to settle in for P2, and that's it.
Yep. And Luke Mills very, very quick about it.
I'm shocked I'm even on the podium again. I'm just a lot more comfortable in wet and into conditions than in dries, clearly. My pace is just way better, which in the end managed to get me a podium again, which, yeah, is always good. But yeah, thanks to Hugo for going out and suffering for me to just test out the dry tyres, really. Made it realise that I didn't need to box or risk anything, and yeah, it was good in the end. don't think I had any more pace to get any higher. Probably shouldn't have got a podium, but drivers around me disconnected and made mistakes, so it cost them in the end. But yeah, good P3, and hopefully I can continue this streak, but nah.
Yep. And also, from my note, thank you for participating in this race, and thank you for watching this race, as just making sure with the with the final standings of this race so far, and the championship lead. Drake Dam 3 now leads by 65 points ahead of Tony Rich. Then we've got Ryan Grob 85 points, Iron Bilba 64, Team Bayer 55, Jantan Foss 47, Luke Mills 42, Kawil Pawlakovic 38, Cameron Dowd 26, and Jack Harrington with 19 points rounds up the top 10. That is the driver standings, as we'll see you all next week in the regular start time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and the streets of Baku. As the Formula 1 race is now starting, I'm going to tell you, have fun watching the race. And then, 7:10 PM UK, we're starting with PlayStation F1.